We're going live, so go ahead and mute
Got it.
or shut off your camera. Looking good, Kurt. All right, so I actually believe that this will be recording automatically on YouTube. So maybe starting early wasn't a great idea, but we're, now that I think about it, we're actually recording, and this will just give everyone a chance to get logged in. So for the purpose of the recording, the time is approximately 1:49 p.m. and in 11 minutes we will start. So the first 11 minutes of this recording will be just us waiting to start. I will share my screen. Good afternoon for those who are joining us. You'll be looking at this cover screen of our presentation until 2 o'clock when we will begin the session. Thank you.
Hey.
Oh, hello. I haven't seen you in forever.
I know. How you been?
Oh, fun.
Your hair got so long. I saw you on a meet the other day. I want to say how pretty it looked.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Bonnie and Maureen, we are actually transmitting live, just so you know. So you may want to mute your phone, your voice, and your video.
No problem. All right. Well, I'll catch up with you soon, Maureen. Good to see you.
Good afternoon, everyone. We will get started promptly at 2 o'clock. Thanks for joining. Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to our community members who have joined us for the WCSD Remote Learning Guidelines K-12 Parent Presentation. This workshop is being broadcast to you live on a YouTube link. Without us being able to anticipate how many parents and community members would be able to join or wanted to join, we thought it'd be best if we were able to create a format that allowed for our community to join by the thousands if we had to. So we have over 8,000 families in our community, and we certainly didn't want anyone to feel like they couldn't join. So all of our regular video conferencing tools had limitations. So we're going to try this format, and hopefully this will work for everybody. I'm just going to mention one other thing. In addition to the live stream that you're watching right now, which is on about a 30-second or so delay, and we are recording it, so we'll be able to post that and have it up on our website later on the same link that you came to watch it live. That same link will be used for the recording itself. But there's a second component to this as well, in that we have a parent, oh, we're already getting responses. Okay, good. We have a parent questionnaire, and it looks like this. So during the workshop, we just ask you to put your name. I won't go to the live view. I don't want people's names to be shown, but you'll be able to put your name, your email address, and any question or comment you have. And at the end of the presentation, Dr. Michelle Cardwell and I will help, as well as the other members who will be introduced as well on this workshop. We'll do our best to answer the questions as we take them. So last look, there's about 250 people watching. I think now is a good time to get started. And with that, I'm going to introduce Dr. Michelle Cardwell, who's our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm very excited to be able to go over with you the Wappinger Central School District Remote Learning Guidelines. On this call and assisting with this presentation, we have Bonnie King, who is our Director of Fine and Performing Arts and Foreign Language. And we also have members of our athletic department, Athletic Director Kurt Jessman and Assistant Director Maureen Myers on the call, who will be answering some questions and explaining some information on the slide. So welcome, everyone. Thank you to all the presenters for being here today. And we can get started with the presentation. So remote learning for all students will begin September 10th. So remote learning is taking place K-12 throughout the district for all of our students, and the students will be taught virtually. Teacher assignments and student schedules will be available on the parent portal. If you have not yet checked parent portal today or tomorrow, or anytime over the weekend, you can do so. The schedules are being posted at this time. We are also planning a series of parent university workshops. This is just the first workshop of many to come. The workshops will focus on the virtual resources and the applications that the students will use. We will begin the workshops next week. The first one will be scheduled for September 8th. This will be posted on the website, and the topic of the first workshop will be on the Google Classroom. So that information will be available for any parents or family members that need support and more information on how to access Google Classroom. That presentation will take place on September 8th, and that information will be shared with you. If you have any specific questions regarding a school or a teacher or specific issues regarding a schedule, please send them directly to the building principal. We will not be able to answer building specific questions during this forum. So for K-6, we're splitting up the remote learning guidelines into two different sections, K-6 and then 7-12. So we're going to focus on K-6 first and then move into the 7-12. There is some overlap, but the schedules are slightly different. So the K-6 remote learning model, teachers will be available during their regularly scheduled work hours, which are approximately 8:25 to 3:25. If you need to email the teacher, have a conversation with the teacher, make an appointment, or if your child needs to speak with the teacher, please send an email and then you will be able to make that appointment. Teacher assignments, if you have not received them, will be going out shortly, and you will be hearing from the teachers probably next week. They have been participating in professional development the past 3 days and will continue to participate in professional development the 8th and 9th, but there will be time for the teachers to create their Google Classrooms and reach out to the families and the students about login instructions. We will use Google Classroom and Google Meet as a main instructional platform. So it is important that you feel comfortable with utilizing both the Google Classroom and Google Meet. And as I stated, professional development will be available if you need a refresher or a lesson in how to access those two applications. Synchronous learning activities, which are your live activities. That means when a teacher is face-to-face with the students. Synchronous learning activities are to take place during the regularly scheduled workday, and teachers will share specific times of synchronous learning with the families prior to the start of the school year. So you should receive an email or a telephone call from your child's teacher next week indicating the time and how to log into Google Meets for the synchronous learning time. So the schedule for remote instruction will begin on the 10th, which is a Thursday, which is considered a day 4 for us in how we're scheduling, but that might not necessarily be important the day it is. It's more important for what specials your student would have. And the specials would be your PE, your music, your arts, your library, because those are scheduled on specific days. But for each day of the week, your child will receive synchronous instruction in reading, in writing, in phonics, in math, in either science or social studies, and then that special class. There will be a minimum of 20 minutes of synchronous instruction each day. That could mean it could be longer for a particular teacher on a particular day, depending upon the topic, but there will be 20 minutes of each day. The only reason why your child would not receive the synchronous instruction in reading, for example, is if the teacher is doing small group instruction on that particular day, and then your child has not scheduled for small group instruction. But the teacher will reach out to you with all specific information regarding when your child will participate in synchronous learning. So synchronous activities could include a whole class lesson. That's when the teacher has all the students online. It could be a whole class check-in where it's not a lesson, it's more of a community building a check-in activity. Small group instruction where a teacher is not working with the whole class, but a smaller group of students on a specific skill set. If they're doing class discussions based upon some work that was done. A conferencing could be a teacher and a student doing a one-on-one conferencing to find out specifically where the student is and conducting a formative assessment. And it could be a question and answer period to an assignment that was done. The time allotted for I'm sorry, Dad, the time allotted for synchronous instruction is a minimum of 120 minutes daily for the student. So that's 20 minutes for each of the core subjects, and then 20 minutes for special. That's minimum. A teacher may go beyond that 20 minutes time depending upon what is needed. Asynchronous activities could be a pre-recorded video, postings and discussions on the discussion boards, or independent assignments such as research assignments, independent writing, independent reading, or additional practice such as a math practice. I did mention this earlier, but I will reiterate it. Synchronous learning opportunities could be in a small group or in whole class. And a teacher will let you know and or your child know if it is going to be a small group session or a whole group session. For 7 to 12, these schedules are slightly different, but we wanted to make sure that all of the students had meaningful and frequent interaction with the teacher. You can switch, Darren. So instructional experiences for a student are not solely defined by how much time a teacher friend spends in front of the student, but it's really about the quality of a task that the teacher is assigned. So when we're talking about how much time a student spends in a particular class assignment, we're counting the amount of time the teacher is spending in front of the teacher, how much time they spend completing online tasks, reviewing instructional videos that the teacher has created or posted, responding to posts, or having that written dialogue regarding the task at hand, engaging in class in class conversations, conducting research, and or doing projects. So students who are enrolled in grades 7 to 12 will follow their individual student schedules. When you receive a schedule, it will be based upon either a 1 through 9 for 7 and 8, or 1 through 8 period day for students in grades 9 through 12. Darren, we're just going to switch to the schedule. Thank you. So for junior high school, they follow a 9-period day. So students will be expected to log into their first period class beginning at 8:05. They will log off when the teacher either tells them they can log off, or by 8:30. This way they can log into period 2 at 8:35, and so on through the rest of the day. In a student's schedule, there may be a study hall, there will be a lunch period. So any of those times or any of those periods in which there isn't a specific class, that is a time when the student can complete some of their asynchronous activities. But during the period from, let's use first period, from 8:05 to 8:30, the teacher can be doing several different tasks synchronously. So that would mean a teacher is introducing the lesson, they could be having a discussion and answer period, and it could take anywhere from 10 to 25 minutes depending upon the activity. When the student finishes, you can go to the next slide, Darren. When the student finishes their 9-period day for junior high school, they will then have an opportunity to work on lessons or the assignments asynchronously. So if the math teacher went over how to simplify fractions, the teacher may have assigned problems for the students to solve. And this would be the opportunity for the students to work on those independent activities. This is also the time where students can reach out to the teachers if they have any questions or need any extra help, in which emailing the teacher to make an appointment or to find out when the teacher is available to speak with the parents or the students can be done. So anytime from that 12:30 to 2:25, the teachers will be available to work with students. But I would suggest to make an appointment or to make it known that the student would like to work with the teacher, because you don't know how many other students are also requesting that time. So similarly to junior high school, the high school schedule work for synchronous and asynchronous activities is the same. What's different are the periods. The high schools run on an 8-period day. And if there are study halls or a lunch period in the student's schedule, that is time that they can spend completing their asynchronous activities. Or if they needed to schedule time with a guidance counselor or support staff, they can do so during that time. They should be prepared to log into instruction at approximately 8:10 every morning. Attendance will be taken for each period for the junior high school as well as the high school students. And students will participate in synchronous learning from anywhere from 10 to the 15 up into the 25-minute period. After which, when their day is complete, they will have the afternoon to complete their asynchronous activities. They will be able to make appointments to meet with their teachers and or guidance counselors and or other support staff as needed. Darren, you go to the next slide. Thank you. So we did get some questions about science labs. The state has provided districts with the flexibility of providing virtual labs while we are remote. We have our science department currently working on which labs can be conducted remotely. We're looking into other various resources to help support our students in making sure that they receive high quality science laboratory activities that will help them meet the standards for that particular course that they are taking. Some sample strategies that can be used for synchronous and asynchronous activities are listed. I did mention some of these already, but in case you want to know what are some of those activities that my child can participate in during live instruction and asynchronous instruction, they are definitely listed on this chart. These are just samples. There are many other pedagogical strategies that have not been listed. For special education, our self-contained teachers will be working with students to provide explicit instruction. Teachers and teaching assistants will work collaboratively to provide small group instruction to students. The ICT teachers will work in collaboration with the general education teachers. They will work alongside them in the Google Classrooms or pull students out for small group instruction. Similarly, resource room teachers will provide services as appropriate to the students, which may include support with specific content or focus on identified skill levels. This will be done in a small group setting based upon the period in which resource room has been assigned to the student. And related service providers will work in collaboration with teachers, either in a shared Google Classroom, or they may pull students out in a small group or individualized session according to a student's IEP. If you have specific questions regarding the services or instruction that your student is receiving, please contact your child's teacher first or the related service provider if that's what your question is for. If after speaking with the teacher or provider you still have questions, you can reach out to the Assistant Director of Special Education for your child's school, and that contact information is below. And remember, this session is being recorded, so you can access it and get this information at a later date if you need it. Our grading practices will remain the same as if we were in regular instruction. So students will be graded from 0 to 100 according to the syllabus and grading practices that the teachers have. The teachers are spending time working on assessments to make sure that the assessments are aligned to virtual learning while we remain virtual. And we will continue to provide that support to make sure that students and teachers are completing and assigning assessments that are appropriate for virtual learning and grading. There are some courses that will require textbooks and instructional resources that the students will need. So the buildings are currently creating a distribution system in which students who need textbooks can come in and pick up the textbooks that they need for a specific course. So you will receive information from the child's teacher on if they need textbooks, when they should come and pick them up, and the method in which distribution of these materials will be made. So you will receive information from your child's school and or your child's teacher on the specific distribution of resources process. We do know that through synchronous learning, by having all of our students K-12 being online at the same time, there will be scheduling conflicts. We are aware of this. What we're not aware of is why those conflicts are occurring for all students and how many there will be. So if when you get the schedule, you notice that there are conflicts, please reach out to your child's teacher first to explain the conflicts of why your child is unable to log in at the specified time. Your child's teacher will then try to resolve the issue. If there is an issue that the teacher cannot resolve, they will then bring in the building administration, whether it's the principal or assistant principal, or possibly the guidance counselor into the conversation to see if we can address each unique circumstance appropriately. At this time, I'm going to take a breather from speaking and ask Kurt to speak a little bit about athletics. Kurt, you're still on mute.
Got it. Thank you. Hey, thank you, Dr. Carwell. And welcome everybody. Good afternoon. I'm the Director of Athletics for Wapato Central School District. As the slide states, New York State Public High School Athletic Association return to an interscholastic athletics guidance document is said to be released tomorrow, Friday, September 4th, 2020. With that guidance, in addition, in order for us to move forward, the Section 1 Executive Committee will need to adopt and approve the return to play plan. Discussions are ongoing and more information is to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. I'm now going to ask Bonnie King to address the music department.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Bonnie King. I'm the Director of Fine and Performing Arts and Languages Other than English. Right now, our teachers are preparing to communicate with families regarding 4th grade through senior year chorus. So if your child has not yet been contacted or has not yet had an opportunity to sign up, they will be. The same with your 5th graders who need to finish their recruitment process. We will be reaching out with all of the directions that you need as far as getting materials and what ensembles will look like. And obviously students enrolled in 6th through 12th grade ensembles have been scheduled and will be contacted. We are discussing asynchronous and synchronous ways to play to make sure all safety protocols are met, and more information will follow, but we anticipate and proudly plan to deliver all musical experiences that you know and love us for. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kurt, and thank you, Bonnie. I appreciate it. I mentioned about Parent University at the beginning. I will reiterate it. We will be providing a series of 1-hour workshops to our families on the various virtual platforms and applications for all of our families. So stay tuned. This information will be shared with you through some updates and also on the reopening website. Remember, the first session for the Parent University workshop will be held next week on the 8th. The time will be advertised. I'm hopeful that it'll be advertised by this weekend. This way you can plan accordingly. And the information will be posted for you to view and to plan. And at this point, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Darren to address the next few slides.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Cardwell. The next few slides are very quick, and then we're going to get to the questions. We had just under 700 people join us for the live stream, which is great. So we're hoping that there's a lot of great questions in the worksheet that are from the survey results that people are filling out. We understand that there are a lot of questions and that there's a lot of things that remain unanswered. I think a lot of you probably have received our fairly regular community updates. I'm sure we'll be putting out another one tomorrow, especially with the release of the athletic information that Mr. Jesmond was referring to. So with that being said, we do have our school reopening website. If you went to wapagerschools.org, our regular district website, at the very top of our district website, you would see a link that says select a school. If you hit the drop down arrow, our website provider gave us another instance of a school, and we just called it school reopening. It's our school reopening page. So just go ahead and click on that, and you'll get to all sorts of resources for that might be helpful. Hopefully, it'll be helpful for you, and as well as past community updates that provide a whole bunch of different information. We are actively, from a technology perspective, we are actively distributing Chromebooks. We're down. We only have a few hundred left. We had an overwhelming response. We've been distributing. We distributed today, Monday, Tuesday. We're going to be distributing again tomorrow. We're going to distribute again next week, both Tuesday and Wednesday. So if you haven't received notification yet and you're on our list, please know that we can. We are doing our best to fulfill those requests. I don't think we'll have enough to fulfill all the requests we've had in. We did just order 600 more devices and are hopefully on a fast track to get those into our inventory as soon as possible. But with that being said, you can go and request as a clickable link, which obviously you can't click in this presentation, unfortunately. But you can go to our website, wapagerschools.org. Scroll down, you see all the pictures of students within our website. Just scroll down just below that. On the left-hand side, you'd see a search box. Just type in Chromebook in that search field and hit enter, and it'll take you right to the link for the Chromebook request form. So if you still need one, we're going to do our best to accommodate. Just please be patient. We hope to have 95% of them distributed before the start of school next week. If you have any general questions about technology related matters, the first easiest thing to do would be to email our help desk. They're very responsive to emails. They are helping with Chromebook distribution, so their time has been spent out of the office on 4 days. It will be 4 days this week, but they will answer emails at parent.portal@wcsd.org, or you can call. Again, they're not going to be in the office tomorrow morning either, because we'll be at another school doing distribution for those who received the invitation. But you could call 845-298-5000, extension 40877 to get some live assistance. And if you get a voicemail, that's fine. We'll call you back as soon as possible. And just a few other things with regards to, as questions come up, and we know conflicts will come up and issues with transportation will come up in terms of transportation during a hybrid learning, transportation during our obligation to provide transportation to and from private and parochial schools, or for students who are placed out of district locations who might be open on day one. We are still providing transportation. If you have any questions about transportation, we first ask that you would call 845-298-5225. That phone number will go right to the main operator in our transportation department. If for any reason you need to escalate a request, Vivian Griffin is our transportation supervisor. She can provide further assistance. If any questions come up with regard to classroom or curriculum or instruction or building related matters, as Dr. Cardwell has initially said, certainly if it's classroom related, please, the first point of contact should be the classroom teacher. As Michelle had already indicated, today is the first day that on Parent Portal that our schedules have been released. So you'll be able to see who your classroom teachers are. I anticipate in the next within the next 4 or 5 days, our classroom teachers will be reaching out to your children via Google Classroom with invitations to join the classroom and to start talking about what the work's going to look like on day one. If you have any issues with anything that you feel like the building, that the classroom teacher cannot address, please be sure to contact the building administrator as a second line of command in that regard. There's going to be a lot of people, a lot of questions and concerns, and it'll be a lot easier if we follow through this point of contact, first order, second order type of thing. So that way, as many questions could get answered as quickly as possible throughout our community. Also, we mentioned, technology related issues. If you need any kind of access with student accounts or parent portal accounts and whatnot, again, there's your email, phone number. And if you need any further assistance, you can contact our Director of Technology, Mr. Arthur Schouten. as far as athletics and extracurricular activities go. Just again, just to keep it, keep it right down to the actual activity itself. If you have any issues, immediate issues with the sport or extracurricular activity, we please ask that you contact the coach or the advisor, followed by the building administrator. Now that's the last slide in the presentation, and I'm going to hit stop sharing on this presentation, which will take us back out to just the talking head view, if you will, of our meeting. And I'm going to jump over to the parent workshop survey form. And again, we had 680. I saw 693 maxed out. Looks like we have about 100 questions. So, which is great because we figured for at least an hour probably for this question and answer period. And with, with 100 questions, let's see, I'm sure some of them will repeat. We're going to do our best to go through these as quickly as we can. Right, Dr. Cardwell?
Yes, correct. And so I can address the first question. Will teachers be teaching from the classroom during virtual and hybrid? So while we are starting remote learning on September 10th, teachers have the option to either come into the school buildings and or to provide instruction from their home. So currently that is going to be at the teacher's discretion. We are not mandating teachers to come into the school buildings to teach remotely at this time.
Okay, the next question is, with most parents working full-time days, Monday through Friday, it's not the daycare's job to teach or provide Wi-Fi. What are the parameters for children to be taught after 5 p.m.? The district is under the assumption that all students can log in during school times. This is completely untrue for elementary age students.
So Darren, I could also take this one. I would suggest that you contact your child's teacher, let them know that this is a conflict, see if there is something that you can work out with the classroom teacher. We do provide instruction during the school day from 8:30 to 3:30. However, if this is a conflict, then I suggest you bring it up with your child's teacher and see if what options there are available to you and your child.
Okay. Is it safe to assume that if I choose to go fully remote at some point, that my child will potentially get a new teacher, other than one that was just assigned that are on the schedules today? Yes, it's a possibility. We've had about 34% of our community have said that if we had to go hybrid, or once we go hybrid, they're going to elect or hope to elect to have their children stay fully remote 100% of the time. That's a large number of children. That's over 3,000 children who will be, possibly looking to go fully remote. And if that's the case, we need to come up with, that means there'll be less students in school, and therefore we need to come up with a system, and it's not easy, to possibly have a change in roster for the teachers, a change in teacher assignment for the students, depending on the subject, depending on the grade level, depending on the availability of who can teach 100% remotely, et cetera, so forth. It's a logistical puzzle that is not one that is easily solved. So we're definitely having a lot of conversations about this, and it really is going to come down to numbers, as well as numbers of staff who, for medical reasons, can't come into work as well. What percentage of children or parents have decided to stay with remote learning and not participate in hybrid for the first quarter? Okay, I think I just answered that. According to the survey results, we had about 9,500 people respond to the results, and we were looking at a 34%, if given the choice, 34% of families would elect to stay home. When will we hear from teachers regarding remote schedules? That will be between now and the 10th of September. Will my child have the same teachers when they have to go hybrid? Okay, that's a repeat question. I answered that. Fourth and fifth graders, will they have assigned times to be synchronous? Will these times repeat daily? If not, when will we have schedules for students need to be live? It will be times for synchronous, Dr. Cardwell had mentioned. This question came in, I think, within a minute of starting the meeting. So hopefully I don't have to explain this too much, but I'll just note one additional thing, that everything's going to revolve around the specials calendar, which is normal in a building, that a building principal would create. So what time does a particular class in a building typically go to art, music, PE? What time do they typically have lunch? What time do they typically have, instrument or chorus, etc.? Those schedules will dictate the time in which the core classes and the other academics take place, And therefore, you might have a fifth grade class, three or four fifth grade classes in a building. They might have a different time of day that they get English and math. And yes, the building principals or the teachers most likely would be the ones to communicate out to you what that schedule is. Good afternoon. Few quick questions, please. Will school email accounts be back up and running? As the help desk, they said they were importing student accounts. My son's account is not active. Try again. I tested a student account or two last night, logging into a Chromebook, and it seemed to work fine. I know that they're still doing the student imports, but most of the students who were existing students prior to this year have rolled over. There were definitely a number of accounts that are still new accounts that are being created, and those will hopefully be done soon. Will there be virtual freshman orientation? Yes, the building principals, both high schools, we're planning something for a virtual freshman orientation. So they should be sending something out for that. How will virtual attendance be taken? Virtually, haha, no, just kidding. Virtual attendance will be taken period by period. If we're talking about secondary, I'm assuming we're talking about secondary because you're talking about freshmen. So following the student schedule, which was presented in the presentation, and how do we pick up books? I think Dr. Cardwell had mentioned that as well. That is to be shared out by the buildings very soon. If my child wakes up ill, not COVID related, on a day she is scheduled to be in school, can she log into all classes remotely and not be counted as absent? Maybe. It depends if they're live streaming out of the classroom at that particular time or on that particular day. Otherwise, we understand illnesses happen. We understand students are absent due to illness throughout the school year. I mean, certainly this is not meant, just because we have the remote option, I would say it's not meant for a child who doesn't feel well to feel pressured to do schoolwork on that day. Hopefully they'll be able to rest and get some, get some fluids, get some rest, and get back to better health very quickly. So I wouldn't stress about doing that, but they'll certainly have access to the remote content very easily because they'll be used to it by then. When will remote learning schedules be available for elementary schools? Okay, I mentioned that. My school's evaluation for special ed services was not complete before the shutdown. When can I anticipate this will occur?
I can address that one. I
Good.
can address that one, Darren. So you should be hearing from the special education department, specifically either the support staff or the assistant director of special ed for your building within the next few weeks to make sure that the evaluations are completed. So you should be hearing something shortly.
Great. Will the kids have to keep cameras and microphones on the entire time for each period? That's probably at the discretion of the teacher. I mean, you figure it this way, that is their class time. So if they say, students, I expect you to be, your camera's on so I can make sure your heads are up and you're focusing, then that's what they should do. They should do as they would normally in the school on a school day in a teacher's class. And listen to the instructions being given by the classroom teacher. How long will virtual class be? That schedule is shared. This question was asked before the presentation really got underway. How much live instruction will be on remote learning days? This also was, I believe, covered in the presentation. My son is going into 3rd grade and I have his teacher he was assigned to. He will be doing remote learning for 1st quarter. Will his teacher change at any point? Yes, it is possible. Why another county is hybrid? Why not here? I have 2 kids. It's certainly possible. We're going to be learning from those schools who do open up hybrid, and it's certainly possible based on what we learn from those schools. It is possible that we might have to change our entire model because they came up with a better one or whatnot. So there's a lot of advantages to waiting. But one of the trickiest parts too is again, 34% of families are asking to remain remote 100% of the time. And how do we provide 2 modalities of instruction given that many of people is certainly a logistical issue that we're going to have to address as this whole thing rolls out. So it's just to everyone's advantage to start off this way. And I think hopefully we're going to put together a good product for remote learning that everyone will be satisfied with. Will students at all grade levels have homework in September? Michelle?
Well, so I'm going to say yes, but will all students have homework? That depends on the teacher and the grade level, but homework will probably be assigned, but it will also be assigned as your asynchronous activities. So the teachers will discuss how students are to submit work. I'm sure homework will be a part of the asynchronous assignments that the teacher assigns. I don't know if they will say, well, this is what you do as classwork and this is what you do as homework. That we're still going to work on those details. But yes, you can expect students to get a sufficient amount of work to make sure that students are completing the content that they need for that particular course, for that particular grade level.
Thank you.
Darren, did skip a question, probably because I had it highlighted. Are kindergarteners expected to be in front of a computer for the whole school day? So kindergarten is getting some special treatment simply because they are kindergarteners and they don't know about school yet. So our elementary schools are planning something special for the kindergarten students. At first, they will not be expected to be in front of the computer. Many of them don't even know how to log on. So we're taking kindergarten very slow, and your kindergarten teachers have prepared for receiving the students and making sure that the instruction that they're being provided is age and developmentally appropriate for those students. So your kindergarten teachers will be reaching out to you and to give you more information on what instruction will look like for our 4 and 5-year-olds.
Terrific, thank you. And I apologize for missing that question. What does work-life balance look like with remote learning? I'm able to telework, however, I'm not sure if I'll be able to juggle my job and making sure my child stays on task. It's a great question. We are definitely all in this together. It's going to be dependent upon your child's age, their academic ability, their ability to stay motivated, the ability for us to make the class interesting, etc. I think we're going to just have to do a little trial and error in the beginning and see how this goes, and then have conversations with the building principals and the teachers to see what does or doesn't work, and hopefully make improvements wherever we can. For attendance, how are we handling a day of the week where a child needs to go to a daycare and can't log on? Similar, we'll be flexible. We're going to have to be flexible and communicate back with the building for what does or doesn't work for you. Will I hear back either way if my child will or will not get a loaned Chromebook? Yes. So far, no news is good news, because once we run out, we're going to have to go through all the requests we could not fulfill and let you know we can't fulfill them, at least at this time. But again, we did order more, but it's going to take a little while to get them in. How do I get back into parent portal? I don't remember ID and password. Your ID is is an email account. Hopefully it's one that you typically would use. It'd be the one that you registered your child with. That was your login ID. If you go to our parent portal login page, attempt to log in, just hit enter if you don't remember the password after putting in your email address. There'll be a link that says reset password. What is happening with Chorus?
Bonnie King, can you address that next question? What is happening with Chorus?
Absolutely. Let me put my screen on. It would be my pleasure. So chorus is going to rotate. We're going to break them up into smaller groups, most likely. So it'll be more like a repertoire class, but you will have the opportunity to hear your child's beautiful singing as they rehearse healthy vocal technique and repertoire, so that hopefully we'll be able to join together again in the near future and put on some great shows for you. So we will have chorus. It will be broken down into small groups. Think of sectionals, and your teacher will be in touch with how that's going to work very soon.
Okay. You state that we...
Bonnie King.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you, Bonnie. You state that we, the parents, can log into Google Classroom. I've repeatedly asked for access to Google Classroom and told parents are not allowed. Parents cannot. You'd have to log in as your child. So you know what you should be able to know what your child's ID and password are to log in. But as far as Google Classroom goes, it doesn't give us an easy ability to give parents an extra login to get in. That doesn't work. But you could log in as your child if you want to see what's going on. There is another mechanism that maybe can give parents updates on like assignments and whatnot, and updates from Google Classroom directly, but it's very, very clunky. And I believe it's a manual process to add parents to the classroom itself. So it's not as seamless as it is. It's easy for us to get students in. they don't have great methods for us to get parents in. Hopefully they'll fix that. Certainly they're aware that there's a lot of different technology needs out there in this crazy climate and environment. So we'll see. Hopefully they'll make some better updates. Are we following a 5-day rather than 6-day schedule? No, it's a 6-day schedule, just in case that, or in the event rather, that once we come back to school full time, we're creating our master schedule as if it's a 6-day schedule. Then once students come back in full time, we'll be able to roll right back into that. So it's going to be every Monday, Tuesday will be day 1 and 2. Every Thursday, Friday will be day 4 and 5. Every Wednesday will be an alternating day 3 or 6. We'll send out weekly reminders as to what the cycle days are for the week. The very first day of school, Thursday, September 10th, we're anticipating will be day 4. Is it at least 20 minutes of synchronous learning per day total, 20 minutes per subject? I think we covered that. How will working parents handle synchronous instruction? It's going to definitely depend on the age of the child, the ability of the child. I can't imagine how difficult I can imagine rather. I have 2 children. I can imagine how difficult it is for parents with very young children. And we are here to help and be as flexible as we can. That's the reason why we're going to be bringing in our littlest children first on the hybrid schedule. We want to do our best, to make that experience good. And I know it's not perfect because it's not 5 days a week, but we're going to do our best to give these students the economic or the educational experience that they deserve. What if you have 2 or more children in 2 separate grades scheduled for synchronous learning at the same time? That'll probably happen if you're going to need multiple devices to do synchronous learning at the same time. But we talked about the flexibility comment prior. So same thing applies. Just a comment, given all is going on, the district has shown great resiliency and work to get us back about, I won't read comments. I appreciate good comments. I appreciate bad comments. We all do. I'll just keep going with the questions. We'll read the notes afterwards, I promise. Thank you for sharing. My child would be in daycare because my husband and I work. What happens if my child cannot participate in the synchronous learning? Let's figure out what the reasons are why they can't. If the daycare can't help support it, if the device doesn't exist, etc. Let's see what that is. Contact the building and see what we can do about that. The parent portal does not list the time each period begins. We listed that for you in the presentation. What about kids who have an IEP? My son may need extra help in each class. It's only 20 minutes per class, just 20 minutes a day. Yes, we're gonna be, as Dr. Cardwell said, our ICT teachers, our self-contained teachers are going to need to, be partners, with their colleagues to, in the ICT case, as well as also provide additional support to the greatest extent possible that we can in a remote environment for a student who has extra needs. Obviously we'll all be focusing on as well with making up whatever support we can't provide remotely for the in-person time when that begins. Will every Monday be day 1? Yes. For junior high, will each period log in always right into the live Google Meet? Yes, that's what we anticipate. If synchronous instruction is a small group or one-to-one, what instruction do the students who are not in the small group do that day? Dr. Cardwell, will you answer that?
Yes, so if students are not in a small group on a particular day and they're not getting synchronous instructions, let's say there is a small reading group, then the students will have asynchronous activities to complete until their small group session starts. So if a student is not participating in a synchronous session, they will have asynchronous activities. Could be independent reading, independent writing, etc.
Excellent. Will you send this presentation to parents? We won't. We probably will just post it on our website, the one that we mentioned, the reopening page off of wapnerschools.org. For kindergarten, is it all right for parents to be in the room with the student while learning? Yes. Where do we turn in assignments? You will see it's quite easy in terms of assignments, although assignments might look a little different for kindergarten and Google Classroom, but Google Classroom is very, very simple. When an assignment is given, there's a large button. When you're ready to submit it, you submit it right back to the teacher. Most students log in for a study hall for attendance. No, we've had some very recent conversations about that. If we are not at this point going to be taking attendance in study hall, it would be an extra period for students to do their asynchronous work or to try appointments with the teacher. The teacher might also be free that period to get extras. Will some special education students be assigned to both a cohort A and a B? and attend Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Yes, whether or not they get assigned an A or B status is probably not, is less of the concern. But the fact is we're going to try to bring in students with the highest needs 4 days a week instead of 2 as that rolls out. Will a special education meeting that happened on Tuesday will be repeated? There is yes, you can find a copy of the meeting on the YouTube channel. Same way you were able to find, well, you know what, it's definitely on the school reopening website. The link is definitely there. Go to the school reopening website. I think all the videos are on the right-hand side of the homepage. And that one was posted, I think, yesterday. Is there going to be any change onto how homework is to be handled? Last year, my child was doing work with me and sending it in, but the teacher would continually say that she'd not get it. If you're submitting it through Google Classroom, the teacher should be getting it. If they're asking you to submit it some other way and you're having trouble with it, please let the teacher know and then let the building principal know if you do not get a satisfactory answer. Grade 7 to 12, how are students exactly logging in? Through Google Meet or Classroom? There should be a Google Meet link in the Google Classroom as assigned by the teacher. And it'll be different, a different link for each period. So have them look for that in their classroom assignments. My grandson is at Sheaf Road in an ICT second grade classroom with a teacher aide. How we get aid during the remote learning? Michelle, I think we kind of covered this. You want to try that one more time?
Yes, I'm reading the comments. Yes, so contact your child's teacher to get specific information regarding the teacher's aid and the support. So your child's teacher will probably be reaching out to you either Tuesday or Wednesday. But let's say Thursday comes and you still don't have that specific information that you're asking. Email the child's teacher or email the child's teacher once you know who has been assigned, and then you'll be able to get specific information that way.
Thank you. Michelle, can you take the next one? I just have to mute my microphone for just a moment.
Yes. So this question was addressed a little bit earlier about working parents. So as we mentioned before, we do provide instruction from 8:30 to 3:30. When conflicts come up, and this is one of those conflicts, please contact your children's teachers to let them know that there is a conflict. We can try to see if we can rectify that issue with the classroom teacher. If not, we will get other people involved, such as our support staff and the building administration, to come up with a situation that works best for all parties.
Okay, was that question number 53 or 52?
I just read 52. You want me to do 53?
I would just double checking. So will the new high school schedule for remote instruction also be used for in-school scheduled time? No. When we go to hybrid, it's going to be regular periods in a regular day. So what will, no, you don't have to worry about that. So yeah, if so, what will in-school students do at 12:05? Nope, the schedule will revert back to the regular length periods. For study hall, does the student have to log into a virtual room? Nope, just do work remotely. Will the synchronous classes be recorded and available to students? We are working, there's a problem. The only problem with recording classes at the moment, and the synchronous classes especially, is we want to be very careful to protect a student's personal identifiable information. So we're looking at making sure that if we can do this, we want to make sure that we do it in a way that we don't see other students' faces. So sometimes you would see with the multiple tiles in a video conference environment, as well as the student names. So we don't want to create a video, save it somewhere, and even if it's saved in a great location that's fairly remote, we don't want to put a video up that someone could easily download or duplicate, and then do whatever kind of thing that we don't want them to do with it and post it somewhere else. So yes, to the extent that we want to be able to do that, we want teachers want to be able to do that. We want teachers to have the option to be able to do that, but we want to make sure that it's protecting our children's personal identifiable information before we do that. And we're working on creating a process for that, hopefully. Will we be getting a supply list in preparation for kids going back to school 2 days a week? Michelle, did you know anything about supply lists?
We have not discussed the supplies list yet. On my level, I am sure the principals have had these conversations with the classroom teachers this week. And if there are things that are needed, I'm sure their teachers will send that information out.
My son has ceramic class. How will this work online? Honestly, all the hands-on vocational type classes and those that require specialty equipment, like in this case, ceramics, the kiln that might be used to, to finish projects and whatnot is going to be very challenging. And so we're going to have to, see how creative our staff can be with some of these electives. And we apologize for probably not being able to provide the experience that everyone was hoping for when they signed up for those electives. But some electives are going to be very challenging. There's no getting around that. Do elementary school children need to log on at certain times? We covered that. Can you give us a sense of what a day will look like for a third grader? Are 20-minute synchronous learnings back to back or spaced apart? Again, it will be broken up based on what their actual physical in-school schedule would be. If at every 10 o'clock is the time they would normally go to PE, that's the time they would go to PE in the virtual learning environment. My son is a third grade, and in third grade, is supposed to get AIS for math. How will we get those services? You want to talk about AIS? I don't know if you touched upon that.
Yes, I did not touch upon AAS, but you will receive information from your child's teacher and or the building principal regarding any additional services that your child may need.
Okay. Times on the parent portal schedule for high school is different than the times posted on this live presentation. Which times are the high school to follow? We're following the virtual presentation, the virtual schedule as noted in the presentation. We did not mess with our student information system, which is, we refer to you as parent portal. We didn't mess with the period structures and the times of the period because we felt that it would just be a hassle to have to move it back and forth as kids coming out of school. So just the schedules that will be posted and shared, from this meeting, from this this presentation, as well as what the buildings will be sharing before next Thursday. My twins are in 6th grade. I just don't understand this 20-minute thing. I mean, we provided some clarity there. Hopefully that answer question has been answered already. Is it possible that the teachers log into an open room from 12:15 to 2:30 to be available for students? If students run into questions in the days of work, they can ask questions. Some teachers might model it like that. Some might request specific appointments. And yes, I anticipate teachers will be coming up with creative ways to have their office door, if you will, be virtually open. How will AI service be handled at the elementary level? Michelle, I think you covered that. It was stated that related service providers will work in collaboration with teachers in a shared classroom or may pull students for small group instruction or individualized instruction. I have expressed my concern with this. I want my child to have individualized instruction. As stated in their IEP, I think the language needs to be changed to and, not or. Well, that's fine. Yes, if it's in your IEP as such, then that is the way it'll be provided. The and I think is for just a greater general purpose, or the or rather for the general purpose of the presentation, knowing that we have 10,000 plus kids in the district. We should not reopen schools whatsoever. Okay, it's a comment, not a question. Sorry. What is the schedule for synchronous learning? I think we definitely covered that. After reviewing my students' schedule, I noticed there was no lunchtime offered. Will there be lunch during the 2 days of in-person class? High school students have the option not to take lunch. So if they intentionally said, I don't want lunch, and they got an extra class period of instruction, they won't have a lunch period, but they typically, when having no lunch, a lot of high school students elect for no lunch. They are given the flexibility of eating in class on certain class periods. With so many kids logging at the same time, are the servers going to handle this much traffic without kids getting booted out of their programs? Thankfully, we use Google for most of everything. So if Google servers can't handle us, we're in trouble. But we did pretty good in the spring, so I think we'll be okay. Another question about ceramics. But if it's 100% remote, so okay, if you have an elective that basically you don't feel is going to run well and you want to choose a different elective, you're certainly welcome to contact your building's guidance counselor for a schedule change if you wish. Are parent workshops being pre-recorded, or will they be live and interactive? Hopefully as interactive as this. For new students, how will they receive access?
Can I just comment on that a minute, Darren?
Oh yes, please. Yes,
so,
good.
Yes, for some of the parent workshops, there is going to be a combination. So there will be like a 20-minute pre-recorded video, and then there will be a question and answer period to follow. So you may watch a pre-recorded video on Google Classroom, but then immediately following that presentation, there is going to be a question and answer period.
Excellent. For new students, how they receive access to Google Classroom, they should check their student email. There is a specific, send an email to parent.portal@wcsdy.org if you need information on how your student is able to access their email account. Do we have options for siblings to attend in person on different days to ease problems of bandwidth at home? Talk to your principal and your classroom teacher, especially if you need some sort of flexibility accommodations, and we'll see what we can come up with. When will elementary students hear from their teachers to learn the daily schedule? Should be, now that schedules are out, it should be between now and next Thursday. Hopefully, my guess would be Tuesday, Wednesday next week at the latest. Please discuss the 6-day cycle. I think I did that. In terms of gym/lab. So, okay, gym lab. So high school level gym lab. So Dr. Cardwell addressed labs in the presentation, and PE is usually the alternating lab day at the high school in terms of high school schedule. So depending on the cycle day of the week, even or odd day for the high school, they'll either have PE second period, for example, if that was their lab period on the alternating day, or lab, whatever, and they'll stay with their science teacher for the lab period. How will remote learning schedule and live lessons remain intact when hybrid model takes place? The remote learning schedule
will change. It will change.
It will definitely change. We talked about going to full period length for anyone showing up in person. When will BOCES begin and how is that set up? So BOCES, CTI, for example, our high school students doing vocational instruction, will begin September 10th. On the 10th, BOCES has said that they will start with open classes. We have about 45. No, is that true? We usually have about 100 kids go to BOCES every year. This year, BOCES is assigning a cohort similar to what we do, and they're going to say, give me half your kids on A day and B day, and the district has to come up with a transportation plan, which is being worked out. And once the transportation plan is ready, it'll be shared with you, and you'll know when and how to get a bus up to BOCES if you need it. You can certainly drive your child up, and in certain cases, although BOCES has a ton of construction right now, they're building a whole new building. I think limiting student parking spaces, but at some point you might be able to inquire with BOCES if student parking is allowed. For those students who will not return to a hybrid schedule until the beginning of second marking period in the beginning of November, will my child's teacher change? All right, I covered that. Will live elementary school classes be recorded to watch later? We covered that. Again, thinking about personal identifiable information. How do we do synchronous learning when you only distribute one device and many families have more than one child? Put it this way, we're going to give you everything we got until we have nothing else. And if that's not enough, then I don't have a good answer. We're ordering more. And even then it's not enough. If we had to order enough devices for every child to be remote in grades 3 through 12, for example, we would have to order 5,500 more devices at a cost of probably $1.3 million, which we don't have. We do not have access to those extra devices. If we want to do one-to-one, we just need the funding, and I'm not even sure if we can order 5,500 devices, even if we had the funding, in terms of what the current supply chain is out there. If students do not receive,
if I may add, this is one of those conflict situations, and if you do not have enough devices that your children can get on, contact your child's teacher, let them know about the conflict, contact your child's principal, and we'll see what arrangements we can make.
Okay. I am going to note, when we first started doing the Q&A, we probably had about 93 questions, and we're at 83. So as I scroll down, I see that we have 170 now. So at some point, we are probably going to have to stop. It's 3:03. Michelle, how many more minutes do you want to do for questions? Another maybe 10?
We could, yes, we could probably do about 10 till about 3:15 and then stop.
Okay, so the questions are great. They keep coming, and we are going to be back again at 6 o'clock. So hopefully, hopefully we can, continue to answer questions there. All right. If parents cannot attend parent university due to conflicting schedules, will videos be posted? Yes, they will.
Yeah.
If student does not receive priority elective on high school 9th grade schedule, can we discuss with the guidance counselor as class and teacher are not assigned and no backup elective was given? Yeah, definitely talk to your guidance counselor. If we find this remote learning with the district not working in our family, has the rules regarding independent homeschooling changed with regards to timeline and all? No. I think you can notify the district your intent to homeschool, and you have 30 days to submit your actual IHIP plan in, and Michelle can correct me if I'm wrong, and then that's signed off by the superintendent. I must have gotten close. So Michelle didn't answer. So yes.
Right, yes, please contact my office if you're interested in that.
Okay. I'm gonna skip a couple that are repeating. There's a question about getting a rebate on their taxes. I mean, we don't have the mechanism to do that. How do you know our ninth grade counselors? How will we get in touch with them? You know what? On the parent portal screen next to your student's picture, you should see where it says counselor. It should list it. It's where I see it listed there. I'm pretty sure a parent would see it listed there. That's the name of the counselor for which your student is assigned. Also, all the buildings are assigned counselors as per our cohort model. So grade 9, 10, 11, 12, for example, each grade level has their own grade level counselor. It's probably listed on the school's website. When do we need to submit a permanent parent pickup sheet for when the kids will be in school? Permanent parent pickup sheet. I would contact the building principal for that. I'm not sure what their process will be on that. We're definitely going to have each building might handle that slightly different. So call the building. Perhaps I missed it, but what time will remote learning start each day for the elementary?
8:30ish.
8:30ish. Okay. When is freshman orientation scheduled? I don't have the date off the top of my head. If we opt to homeschool our daughter in order not to lose family income, what are the next steps? We just covered that one. Will there be an orientation? Yes, there will for 9th grade. How long is lunchtime and snack time normally for kindergartners? There's always a snack break. I don't know if there's a set duration for that. Lunch is typically between 45 and 60 minutes when they couple it with recess. But it could also, so sometimes it's 25 to 40-ish, 45 with recess, so and or. So it really just, with the kindergartners, they get extra time, especially in their classroom, to eat snacks and stuff, because we certainly don't want children hungry, especially at that age, because then they don't really focus that well. How are high school children going to learn all the material required when teachers are only teaching from 10 to 25 minutes per class? I think you'd be surprised. I think the modality of teaching in a classroom, in most cases, teachers aren't lecturing for 45 minutes or 47 minutes in a high school class. So we're going to give this a try, and if we have to make adjustments, I suppose we will. But we're hopeful that time frame that we've identified will be effective. Continuing, there's a lot. Hold on, they got really quick and short, but some of them are comments. Maybe we don't have as many as I thought. Let's see. Oh, you know what the problem is? I think some of these are not word wrapped. Hold on, let me wrap these. Okay. You mentioned that certain teachers, due to their health, would not be able to present in school. Very simple. Oh, I'm not the comment. I'm not going to finish that one. Will WCSD provide accommodations for students to come to high schools to take PSAT in October this year? There is an update on PSAT. I didn't read the whole thing yet. I think it just came out yesterday. I think that'll be part of our communication tomorrow. So when we send out a notification, our end of week communication tomorrow, I think it's going to include a little section on PSATs. Do you have any recommendations for free daycare for my child? It seems do you recommendation for free daycare of child? The rest is a comment I won't read. I don't know of any free daycares for your child. No, I'm sorry. Maybe wrong platform. I'd like to know why the reopening could not be done by grade and by building rather than just grade. This is a process that we came up with, and I understand that some people might say that we could open 7th grade and kindergarten at the same time. This is the process that we came up with, and we're going to roll it out. The important thing is that we roll it out, and at the end of every rollout each week, we're going to determine whether or not our processes work. Will all elementary schoolwork be done over the computer? Will they have any handwritten assignments? Some assignments will be handwritten. They just might ask that a picture be taken using the device that you're using it on, and submit the picture of the handwritten work. So certainly handwritten work assignments will be possible. Will students be expected to bring their Chromebooks into school on their scheduled days? No, probably not, because not all the devices students are using in remote instruction are are district devices. So we're not going to expect those who don't have a district device to bring in a personal device into the school for fear of breaking, and parents probably just don't want that to happen anyway. We're just going to have to make do with, while students are in school, there'll be very little access to technology. Proscenium and sports are not the only important. Go ahead.
I would like to take a question since we're running out of time.
Okay,
There's
yes.
a lot of questions about scheduling. If you know that you already have a conflict, like you know that your daycare does not have Wi-Fi, or you know of some other issues, you can contact your building principal to begin to have these conversations to find a resolution. If it is not necessarily a time conflict between synchronous activity and synchronous activity, but you know, for instance, that there is a conflict because of working parents and your daycare issues, you can contact your building principal to discuss these issues as soon as tomorrow. You don't have to wait. There is also a question that I'm going to either throw to Kurt Jessman or Maureen Myers regarding physical education. This has come up a couple of times. Can you give a brief synopsis of how PE will be conducted virtually?
PE, like any other class, will have direct instruction by the teacher in their discretion. It would vary, just like every other subject. You'll have maybe doing some warm-ups, some check-ins, some small group activities, large group activities. That's virtually. Hybrid, we'll be trying to probably go outside as much as possible, and that would be building by building discussions ongoing. So basically, it's just the same as, you know, a regular class. They're going to do some instruction, some activity, and individual activities, and work on, you know, certain skills that they deemed that be better to do at home, and make it easy on the student.
Thank you, Kurt. All right, Darren, I've been running through the questions to see if there is anything that we should pick out prior to stopping. Do you see anything that we have not yet addressed? Some of the students, you will probably not need access to a printer. Teachers are being aware that not every student has a printer available in their home, so they are not relying on that. Some families may prefer to print something out if you have that capability, but it's not going to be a requirement. And I think for synchronous instruction, there is a minimum of 20 minutes. Many teachers may go beyond that if the lesson calls for that. But even if the synchronous lesson stops at 20 minutes, students will still be expected to complete a synchronous assignment. So a teacher, for example, may do a math activity. They may review the math lesson for the day, and then the students will log off and complete the math worksheet or the math problems that the teacher has assigned, or participate in some online math games through our virtual resources that we have to support the learning that took place during synchronous learning.
I think there's one interesting question with regards to PE, and maybe Kurt, you can chime in on this, but this kind of goes back to student athletes as well. If my high schooler does 11 plus hours of competition dance a week, can she be exempt from PE?
According to New York state law, that is not possible. You have to have an in-person certified physical education teacher and having a certain amount of minutes in physical education. So at this point in time, that is not allowed.
Okay, I think that's it. A couple interesting comments in here, you know, but I'm not going to read those, you know, and you know, it is what it is. We're doing our best, and that we're in this together. Michelle, did you want to say anything before I stop the live stream view?
I definitely want to thank everyone for their time and participating in this Parent University workshop. We hope that we cleared up some of the questions that you had regarding remote learning. We do not have all of the answers regarding hybrid learning, but we're focusing on the remote learning right now. Your students will begin remote learning next week, and we want to make sure that your students have the most rigorous instructional experiences as possible remotely. And we're going to work with families and teachers to make sure that that happens.
Okay, excellent. And with that, I'm going to stop the live stream and want to thank everyone as well for joining us today. We'll be back at 6 if you
Goodbye,
want to
thank
get
you.